In 5 days time, we're once again gonna be on the start line of Vasaloppet. "90 kilometers from Sälen to Mora." This is gonna be my 5th time skiing Vasaloppet. I figured this could be like a cool how to do Vasaloppet sort of video, considering I've seen and experienced a lot of things during those 5 years. Then I thought I could come up with some advice for how to prepare and how to kind of ski it. So I figure I'll split this video into 2 parts. One part where I tell a little bit about the course, how to attack it, or how to dispose of your powers, if you will, during the race. And in the second part, I'll talk a little bit about preparation before the race. Mainly what to eat, what to wear, and nutrition during the race. So let's just jump into it. The course is, as mentioned, 90 kilometers with 900 meters of elevation gain. A lot of people think that the course is flat, but it's definitely not flat, and I'll come back to that in a second. You start in a place called Bergaby with 15,000 other people, and you're headed for Mora at 8 o'clock on the first Sunday of March. Depending on which start group you're in, the further up you are, the faster it's gonna be for you to get to the finish line, and the better time you're gonna have doing it. But I think the main thing is just to go into the race with a positive mindset. Once the start gun goes off, it's going to be a rush towards the first climb. It's obviously going to be an accordion effect, because after the starting straight, you go right into the first climb. So people are going to rush to the first climb, then it's going to go from 100 to 0 in a second, and then the rest of the people all the way back to start group 10 is slowly going to go towards the first climb, as it's going to work as a chokehold. This goes for almost all groups, from I'd say group 2 all the way down to group 10. Queuing is inevitable, and there's nothing you can do. Just relax, don't stress, and just go with the flow. By stressing, you're just risking of breaking your pole and upsetting all the other people around you. You're gonna get to the top, and it's maybe gonna take you 30 minutes, and it might gonna take you 1 hour and 30 minutes, but you will get to the top eventually. Once at the top, and all your poles, skis, gels, drinking system, everything is intact, you can now think about skiing and get yourself to Mora. There are 7 food stations or control stations along the course. These are Smågan, Mångsbodarna, Risberg, Eldris, Oxberg, Höckberg, and Eldris. The best way to handle Vasaloppet mentally, in my opinion, is to take control station by control station and not think about the whole distance in itself, as that can be a bit overwhelming. So let's start with Smågan and Mångsbodarna. After you get to the top of the first climb, the terrain is super easy. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of going too hard towards Mångsbodarna because they're stressed and they want to make up of the last time they had on the climb. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it plenty of times, but it's easy to go too high into the red, and then that's a price you have to pay later into the race. Because after Mångsbodarna, you'll have some downhill, and then you'll reach Tenning. This is around 30 kilometers into the race, and this is where everything gets a lot more serious. From here and the next 40 k's is where you're gonna have most of the climbs during Vasaloppet. Because except from the first climb, all the easy terrain and downhill you now just experienced is something you're gonna have to pay back, and with interest. It starts with the climb up to the third control station, that is Risberg. It's a steady climb of around 3 kilometers before it's a bit downhill and it flattens out towards the control station. This is the first proper test of the day, and if you have disposed your powers right, you should still feel pretty fresh, because it gets worse. The next 5Ks are riddled with climbs. They're not necessarily long or steep, but it's just that they come in a time of the race where fatigue kind of sets in, and these climbs tends to drain the energy out of your body. You'll get a small break and a flat section once you've done around 40Ks, but it continues to creep up towards the fourth control station of the day, Risberg. 50Ks are now done, and most of the climbs are now behind us. And this is why I'm saying that Vasaloppet is not flat, because so many of the climbs are concentrated on a small section in the middle of the race. And if you went too hard then on the first 30Ks, then these climbs will come and haunt you later. So that's why I'm saying you should not stress towards Mångsbodarna and Tenning. You should try and be patient and just maintain a fairly good pace, but not go too high into the red zone. But you made it to Eldris and you finally get some rest and some downhill. But not for long, because now you will get to the infamous Lundbäck climbs. It's not that this climb is necessarily hard in itself, but they come at this point in the race where you've done almost 60Ks and then suddenly this wall appears. And what tends to break people, or me at least, is that the climb is not done when you think it is. It continues to creep upwards, and that really just kills all the powers you have left at this point. But not too long after the climb, you'll reach Oxberg and the famous horseshoe control. You now got around 28Ks left, and the terrain gets a lot easier from here on out. A good thing to think about is to try and have some powers left until you reach Höckberg.
Fy faen. Helvete, eller?
The sixth and second to last control station. But before you get there, you have some short and steep climbs that I absolutely hate. They're called the Gopshus climbs because they come when you pass the Gopshus ski hill. You get over these climbs, and then all you have to do is get up to Höckberg. How you're feeling now depends on a lot of things. It depends on how much powers you manage to save. It depends on your fueling strategy. It depends on your skis, and it probably depends on the condition on the course. But the thing is, you now only have 18Ks left to Mora, and from here it's downhill and pretty much flat. I say pretty much flat because there are small bumps along the way, but if you still have some powers left in your arms, legs and your body, these are what they are, bumps in the road. But if you're hanging on by a thread at this point, then these last kilometers towards Eldris and Mora can be a bit of a bitch. You're gonna make it, however. It is pretty smooth sailing to Eldris, which is the last control station, and you now only have 10Ks left to the finish line. It's all about fighting from here on out, either by damage control or just use whatever powers you have left in your body and just put on afterburners and try and gain as much time and positions as possible until you get to the finishing straight and the finish line, that is Mora. Congratulations, well done, and regardless of how tired you are or how much you want to quit during the race, then you should be really proud of yourself, because 90Ks is no small feat. So that's the course and how to handle it. I hope you got some advice and some insights of how to go about it. I would just say as a disclaimer, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, let's now talk a little bit about the preparations, what to wear and how to fuel during the race. For the base layer, I would recommend you use wool leggings and a wool long sleeve. Wool socks as well on your feet, obviously. For cross-country skiing, soft shell is key, and depending on how fast you're planning to ski the race, then this is a perfectly good option to wear. But if you're planning on skiing it as fast as possible, then I would say a race suit is mandatory. I forgot to mention it, but also a neck warmer is really nice to have and something you should definitely use. Also for your head, a headband is also nice to have. For fueling, which I think is probably one of the most important things during the race, then you need to eat a lot of carbohydrates before the race, not necessarily overeat, but just stick to your normal diet and just add some carbohydrates. Or, as many other people do, take a gel 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the start. During the race, I use gels and sports drink that I have in a drinking belt, but you can also use maybe a hydration vest. If you don't have any of these options, you could always use the control stations as they serve you with food and drinks. I do, however, think it's a good idea to bring your own gels and sports drink and try and fuel every 45 minutes. It's easy to forget during the middle of the race, but try to figure out a reminder of some sort and fuel as often as possible, as that is usually why things go bad later in the race, because you are running low on carbohydrates. What sort of gels or sports drink to use is a personal preference. You can either bring something from where you live back home, or you can buy something at the tent on the start line of Vasaloppet. If you're gonna bring gels with you, I would recommend you use the ones with a screw lid, as they're much easier to handle while skiing. If you're planning to ski Vasaloppet between 6 to 8 hours, I would suggest you bring 6 to 8 gels and maybe even a couple more. It's up to you, but it's better to have one gels too many than one too little. That should do it. I probably forgot something, but feel free to leave a comment if you have anything you're wondering about, and I'll try and answer you as good as possible. So good luck, and I'll see you out there. Thanks a lot for watching. Peace.